What is going on, Small Gains family? Welcome back, and welcome back to me as well. I've had a little bit of time off. Let's call it a little hiatus. I've had a really busy month. It's felt quite stressful at times. I've had a lot going on personally, not necessarily like negative things. I've just had a lot of stuff going on and lots of busy and exciting things happening inside Fuzz Culture Club. And that does mean when I have those months with the push and pull of self-employment, and obviously I don't have anyone that actually works for me that helps me edit or plan or publish content or podcasts, every now and then I do have to take a little bit of a break, and it's always unplanned. I never really schedule a deload week from the podcast because I guess if I'm feeling good and I have the time and the energy, then I always want to do it. So I never really plan having a few weeks off from the podcast, but when I need it, I do allow myself to take it. And I know that everyone that listens, whether you actually work with me or you just listen to this because you enjoy me yapping at you, I know that you will all completely understand, and I appreciate that that's what this community is built on. So to catch you up on probably like the highlight of my August, I had my first proper in-person Fuzz Culture Club lifting event for my one-to-one clients and for the Fast and Ferocious team. And oh my God, it was amazing. It brought me so much joy and I felt so emotional, and I really wasn't expecting to. I did do a client meetup a couple of years ago, and being an online coach and working with people all over the world, it's really hard to bring people together. And I think at the time where I did a meetup in Leeds, I maybe had anywhere between about 15 to 20 people, maybe more along the lines of 15, and a couple of those people were from Leeds. And I did the meetup, we went axe throwing and we went for some food, and a few of the team showed up, but not very many, and we had an amazing time. But it definitely made me reevaluate how I wanted to do one of these again. And I can't lie, I'm not going to be humble about this at all. I think I did manage to pull it off and give everybody an awesome day. And I really hope the people listening to this that came had the absolute best time as well. I rented out a gym for a day, my friend Marnie's gym in Leeds. So it was private. And we did a big lifting session. And after that, we then went to like a food market and everybody got some food and drink, and it was wonderful. Now, in the run up to this, so many of my clients told me how nervous and anxious they were because none of these people have met in person before. And I haven't actually met any of them either, apart from one of them. So when I put this to the team, they were all really excited about it, but so many of them DM'd me behind the group chat saying, I'm so nervous. I'm worried I'm not going to feel strong. I'm worried about talking to people or being with people that I don't know. And obviously all of us are very neurodivergent, and a lot of us are like introverts, which is why the remote online community works for us all so well, myself included as a coach. But I set up the event, I got them all little goodie bags, I made a nice playlist and took everyone's requests. I have about 33 to 35 people between my one-to-one clients and between Fast and Ferocious. That's pretty much my capacity. I'm full. And a lot of these people are in different countries. So when I invited everyone to the event, I wasn't expecting loads of heads to come because the expense of the travel overseas or even just getting a train up from the south or the north of the country is a lot. However, 15 of my humans came, and not a single one of them was from Leeds. They came from Edinburgh, Northampton, Wales, London, Sheffield, Mansfield, York, Reading, and one of them even came from Switzerland. But I think my biggest apprehension is that I just wanted everyone to have an awesome time and get on with each other. And honestly, 15 people that had never met each other, they had been in the room for about 5 minutes. And as soon as we started training, everyone was screaming at each other and yapping like they'd known each other for years. And I can't tell you how much joy it brought me. It was wild. I broke everyone down into 3 groups and we did some PB testing for squat and bench. It meant that I could coach people in person. It meant that they got to experience lifting with a ton of other queer or trans people or alternative people. They got to experience that box gym mentality of gassing people up for their lifts. And So many of them PB'd their bench press and deadlift. Some people even doubled them. And some people did some of those big compound barbell lifts for the first time ever. It was truly, truly incredible. And one of my people messaged me the day after, one of the members of my one-to-one team, and said, mate, you did that. And it just made me break down. When I sent everyone off to go for food while I tidied and locked up the gym, all that happened is I just felt so emotional. I just wanted to cry because I guess I've been chipping away at building Fuzz Culture Club into what it is for years. And although, because I'm just working by myself, there is a ceiling to how many people I can work with within group and one-to-one coaching. And I'm obviously very picky about who I bring into the team. And a big learning curve when I first started being a coach is that I won't necessarily get on with everyone and not everyone will want to work with me. But I think the last 2 years, maybe a little more in Fuzz Culture Club, it has just brought in some of the most incredible people. And when I showed up to the food market in Leeds after locking up the gym, and I just saw a table full of Fuzz Culture Club people, just all having a drink, eating some food and talking to each other like they were all best mates, I felt so happy and so much joy. I think even thinking about it now, I'm getting a bit emotional. Honestly, I cannot wait to do something like this again. And the feedback that I got from the event was amazing. And just the power of community, the power of queer community was incredible. So if you're listening to this and you came, I love you so much and I appreciate you so much, because it's not cheap to travel around the UK. It's not cheap to get a hotel for an evening. So thank you. And I had the best time and I hope you did as well. And I am so excited to do another one of these at some point. So yeah, that was my highlight of August. I've got so many great videos from it that I need to put together as well, and I can't wait to post some of them online. A slight lowlight of August was that I've been really unwell. So as soon as that event happened, I woke up the next day with tonsils the size of footballs. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for more than a year, you might remember the episode where I got really sick with tonsillitis. This is just something that always seems to happen ever since I was a kid. I wish they had yeeted my tonsils out when I was younger, when you were still allowed to get them taken out. I don't think they really do that now, do they? But I am not a person that really catches colds or gets unwell often at all. However, if I catch something, it always just seems to be tonsillitis, and it wiped me out. And I ended up not really being able to train for almost 2 weeks. I fell off the push-up challenge that I've been running for August. I just couldn't do it. And on top of that, this last weekend, it's very rare for me to have a packed social weekend. I might do the odd thing here and there, but this week I was stacked, and getting ill just before it honestly absolutely sucked, because I was going to a few events around Manchester Pride, a few queer raves. I had a really nice brunch planned with my partner and all her friends. So much going on, and me getting sick did have to derail my plans a little bit. So I was gutted, but I did manage to rest up as much as I could, and I didn't force myself to train, and I didn't force myself to go out when I knew that it wasn't beneficial. I had a really good Saturday for Manchester Pride. Didn't quite do everything I had planned and see everyone I wanted to see, but I did the main thing. I went to a really awesome queer rave by Bent Hedonism, which are a promoter in Manchester. I've been wanting to go to one of those for years, which was awesome. And I am finally feeling better, and we are slowly getting back to training. However, I woke up on Monday and I realized it is 6 weeks until I run a half marathon, and it is 4 weeks until I have a deadlift competition. And that is not a lot of time. I've got 6 weeks to build to a half marathon after not running for 2 weeks, and I've got 4 weeks to get back into the groove with my deadlift so I can push for some good numbers on the day. Now, this is what the episode is going to be about today. This episode is about showing you that you can be unwell for a couple of weeks, have some really trash, suboptimal training or no training at all, but you can recover, hunker down sustainably, and not overdo it and overcook yourself and still prep for a couple of goals that are important to you. I see a lot of people I work with go into panic mode when they have a bit of unplanned time off. When an unprecedented event happens that we can't control and we can't train, it's really easy to go into panic mode and think, I've got to make up for this. I've got to run more miles. I've got to train more to make up for the fact that I've not been doing that for the last couple of weeks. And it's so easy for people to make dramatic changes. But times like these are when we actually just don't want to do anything drastic at all. We want to think of what our basics are, and we want to prioritize, and we want to think about some very key non-negotiables that are going to get us towards where we want to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, Small Gains family, let's do the thing. So I definitely had a bit of a reality check at the beginning of this week. My coach, Tom, said to me, how are you feeling? I said, I'm 95% there. I'll probably be 100% by tomorrow. Luckily, I am pretty much right. I'm maybe 97%, I reckon. And he said, we've got some serious mileage to get in. And I looked at my calendar and realized, yes, we do. I've got to run a half marathon in 6 weeks, and I am nowhere near prepared after 2 weeks of not running. And the last couple of runs I did, I actually didn't have the best time. I think I had a lot going on, and I had a lot of prep and a lot of work, so I wasn't really present for them, and I didn't really give them my best. I cut a few of them short. And then I looked at my calendar and I saw my deadlift competition is in 4 weeks as well. Now, this is just a pride deadlift competition for Sheffield Weightlifting Club. It's being organised by Penny Vavarides, who was on the podcast before. It's just a bit of fun, but I do like to show up. I am a little bit competitive with myself, you know me. And I think my initial response to realising half marathon in 6 weeks, deadlift competition in 4 weeks, the initial response was like, oh God, I'm really behind. But when we think about what being behind actually means versus what we think it means, it's going to be very different. So my initial perception was, oh God, only 6 weeks to build to a half marathon. That's, 13 miles. That's a lot. I haven't ran further than 10K in a long time, and that's 22K. And then I think, oh, a deadlift competition in 4 weeks. That's only one deadlift session a week, really, on my training schedule. That's not a lot. I feel really behind. I feel like the numbers aren't where they need to be. But actually, when I really pick it apart and think about it, a few weeks off and a couple of weeks of suboptimal running doesn't erase the years and months of fitness and strength and kilometers that I have accumulated for myself. My previous training history and my training age still count. That still exists. I ran a marathon in April. I got a deadlift PB about 3-4 weeks ago. All of that was work that I did, and that's all work that I can do again. And when I have people that I work with that are in this same situation, that's what I remind them. Everything that you've built up until now still counts, and having a couple of weeks off doesn't change the fact. Yes, getting back to that first session or that first long run, it's going to feel a little bit daunting. It might even feel a bit exciting. For me, it definitely does. But it might also feel a little bit harder than usual, and that's okay. But once we get going, we'll just be back building like we always have done. And that's what I have to remind myself, and that's what I need you to also remind yourself if you're also a person that's had a little bit of a break from training recently. So 6 weeks to half marathon, 4 weeks to a deadlift comp. The approach that I am taking to building to both of these, I'm going to call the anti-panic approach. Because when we think we haven't trained enough for something, or when we fall for what we are telling ourselves is behind, I say that in inverted commas for those not watching, it's so easy to get in our heads and be like, we haven't done enough, there's no way we're getting there. But I've got a whole string of evidence that I can do all of these things. And I've been training for years, I've got a good fitness base, I'm strong. Those are all of the things that I know to be true. So the anti-panic approach is going to stop me jumping to conclusions and making silly decisions that might seem like a good idea, but in the long run aren't going to benefit me getting to the race, injury-free, ready and primed, and to that deadlift competition. So here are the things that I'm not going to do, and here are the things that you absolutely shouldn't do either. So with the half marathon, 6 weeks out, 6 weeks to build from 10K to 22, I'm not all of a sudden going to jump from 10K to running 20. I can run 20 kilometers and I have done it many times, but I haven't done it for a while. And if I jump that mileage up straight away, that's having me straight on course for some sort of overuse injury, prolonged recovery, DOMs that are going to last days that might mean that I can't run again. I'm not going to ramp up the runs. I'm not going to do any more than I would have normally done, which for me is 2 a week. Sometimes nearing the race, for me, it's 1 a week because my legs just love to take their time with recovery. I'm not going to do more than I would have done. I'm just going to be sensible about it. I'm not going to train through illness to catch up. If I had trained when I was so unwell over the last 10 days, I would have just made myself worse. And I wouldn't now be at a point where I'm able to record this podcast because I actually have a voice and not giant tonsils. And after this podcast, I'm heading out for an easy 5K. If I had trained through illness, I would have prolonged it. I'd still be ill now. I wouldn't be able to get myself back this week. There is never any point training through illness. And I'm maybe preaching to the choir here, but if you've got a cold or you're run down or you've got tonsillitis and you think, well, I could maybe go and do a tiny bit, what you've got to ask yourself is this actually going to make me feel a bit worse? And sometimes we might have to learn our lessons on that. Sometimes we might go back too early. I definitely have a bunch of times. But for the most part, we just got to be sensible. If you are unwell or if you're contagious and you haven't recovered and you're maybe not even eating normally or sleeping normally, that's the stuff that has to come first. So no training through illness to catch up, and also no ignoring my basic wellness needs, the things that keep me functioning and human. It can be really easy to think I've just got to think training. And then a few weeks in, I realized I've forgotten to take my ADHD meds every day. I've forgotten to take my antidepressants. I've not had as much downtime because I've been filling that time with training. I've not done the things that keep my brain feeling good, like journaling when I'm anxious or taking Aubrey for a walk to regulate. I'm not going to ignore any of the things that I need and replace them with training because I need those things to keep me as a well-functioning person. And then the final thing that I'm going to completely ignore is the cramming mentality, especially with the race. It's so easy to put pressure on yourself to do more in the run up to the race when actually we maybe just want to do less. We never need to train more to make up for training less when there's a race or a competition or a deadline or a goal, because all we're doing then is prolonging recovery, zapping our central nervous system more, and putting probably a lot of pressure on ourselves, which even subconsciously can build up and make you not feel good and get to a point where you're like, you know what, I can't do this, I'm overwhelmed, I'm sacking it all off. We never need to get to that point. So no sudden jump in mileage, no doubling my deadlift sessions every week, I'm still just going to do one. No ignoring my basic day-to-day well-being and mental well-being needs. No cramming anything in to make up for the fact that I've skipped a ton of training and it's not felt great. And this might sound really boring, but I'm committing to being sensible. Whilst doing that, I am also committing to hunkering down and locking in for the next 6 weeks to ensure that I get what I want out of the half marathon and out of the deadlift competition. Because they're important to me and I really want to be present and enjoy them and perform at my best if I'm able to. So now we've talked about all of the things that we don't want to do when we've had a period of time through illness or suboptimal training, I want to talk about what I am actually going to do. And I'm calling this sensible hunkering down. So we're not hopping on the grind hustle culture train. We are locking in, we are hunkering down, but we're not doing it at the cost of anything else. So what is hunkering down going to look like for me? It's going to mean that I'm prioritizing these two things in my life. I'm not going to pick up training where I should be. I'm going to pick it up where I left off, which is why there's not going to be any sudden jumps in run volume. 5K today, 10K at the end of the week, couple of gym sessions, nothing more for me this week. I'm going to prioritize consistently showing up for every session over the next 6 weeks as opposed to smashing out some really intense ones. I'm going to make sure I get all my training volume in, and I'm going to make sure that I auto-regulate them based on how I'm feeling. If you're listening to this and you're like, what the bloody hell is auto-regulation? Check out the most recent episode I posted about auto-regulating your training based on how you feel physically and mentally, because that's going to be key here. And obviously, I have a coach that maps out my training for me, and he is going to ensure I am accountable to everything he lays out to me. And he's also going to ensure that I don't overtrain. And that's obviously the perks of having someone coaching you and doing your programming, which is why I still have a coach, even though I am one. So whilst training and workout programming is taken care of for me, these are the non-negotiables I'm giving myself over the next 6 weeks. First one, eat 3 meals a day, plenty of protein, carbs, fruit, and veggies. This is a bare bones basic for me, and it's probably one of the most important ones. When I was unwell, I was struggling to eat 3 meals a day. I was struggling to eat anything that wasn't highly palatable. I was having to rely a lot on liquid calories, on smoothies, on protein shakes, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. All of those foods had a place, and they helped me with convenience, and they also helped me get some food in when I wasn't able to swallow real food. So back to my usual of 3 meals a day, plenty of protein, carbs, fruit, and veg that's going to nourish me and make me feel good. On top of that, I'm going to make sure that I fuel well during my long runs. During my marathon build, I worked out how I like to fuel for runs, and I'm now going to revisit that plan and adapt it for my half marathon plan, but I'm going to start doing it straight away. I left it a little bit too long with the marathon training. I don't feel like I trained my digestive system to adapt to what I wanted it to be able to take in carb-wise during runs. So I'm revisiting that. I'm learning from the last time I did it, and I'm committing to fuel properly for all of my long runs, even though it's not race day. I'm going to practice that fueling and I'm going to nail it. I'm going to prioritize sleep and recovery heavily. Now, I do this already, but I have definitely allowed myself to have a little less sleep here and there, socialize a little bit more over summer, because so many more things happen over summer that are fun and that are outdoor based. So I allowed my training frequency to pull back a little bit. I've done 4 sessions a week instead of 5 or 6 for the past few months, and I've loved every second of that. I've had a really amazing and fun summer, but every so often I have prioritized my social life over my sleep and recovery because there's been fun things going on that I've wanted to do. So part of my non-negotiable is to ensure that sleep and recovery are actually coming first this time. And I do have a couple of social things planned. I've got some gigs in the diary. I've got some stuff with friends going on. But for the most part, nothing major at all. And if anything comes up and it's not a fuck yeah for me, then I'll be setting that boundary and I'll be putting my rest and recovery first. So after my work and after taking care of Aubrey, training is third on that priority list. And I would say it was maybe 4th or 5th on that priority list over summer, and that's okay. That's just the push and pull for life. So really, my non-negotiables are just staying true to my basics, prioritizing training because I've got goals, events, comps, races, and allowing myself to really lock in and enjoy the 6-week build to the half marathon and the 4-week build to the deadlift party so I can be present and have a lovely time. And the reason I wanted to talk about this so much is because I'm not a pro athlete, and neither are most people that listens to this podcast. And when we have a busier social calendar, it's okay if training isn't as big on the priority list. I would say I actually train way more in winter than summer, purely just because I don't like being cold. I don't like being outside a lot. But when it comes to summer, it's festival season. I love music. I love being outside. I would much rather be outside than in a gym. So I've only really been in the gym twice a week max, sometimes 3 times since maybe April. And I'll go into winter and then I'll probably ramp up training just because I like it. I like being inside when it's cold outside, you know? And the push and pull of training throughout the year, it can work however you want it to work. As a baseline, yes, we want to be moving as much as we can. We want to ideally be getting about 150 minutes of movement in every week. How that happens is completely up to you. Get your strength work in, get your cardio in. But if sometimes you want to lessen that because you've got a lot going on in your life, that's totally cool. Nail your basics and tick the boxes and ramp it up when you have space to. And the last thing I want to talk about, with only having 6 weeks to build to a half and 4 weeks to build to a deadlift comp, is am I going to adjust any of my goals for these things? And you know what? The answer is no. Part of my goals for the third quarter of this year are to get a deadlift personal best and to get a half marathon personal best. I want to add at least 5 kilograms to my deadlift by the end of September. And I want to take off 8 minutes for my half marathon personal best. Is that possible on 6 weeks prep? I think it is. And we're going to see. I will let you know in 6 weeks' time. But I think it is. I think with my non-negotiables and me sensibly hunkering down for the next 6 weeks, I can still give my best because of my training age, because of the run volume and the strength volume I've accumulated in my whole life. None of that has gone to waste just because I had a few weeks off. So I am going to choose to compete as well as complete with myself, obviously, not with anyone else. But if I don't manage to get exactly what I want, that won't bother me because I will have set process goals as well as outcome goals. And for me, process goals and outcome goals when it comes to races and competitions, some of the most important ones are to be present for it and to have a really nice time and to complete what I set out to do, even if it's not as fast or as heavy as I want on the day. That's cool. And I feel like that mindset is the one that works for me. And because I'm not necessarily trying to win anything or be a pro athlete, having a nice time competing within race formats and comps formats can just be fun. I will be competitive with myself, but I also won't beat myself up if I fall slightly short. But I will always come back stronger and try and hit it again because I think that's just the person that I am. I actually meant for this episode to be super short, but I have really yapped and I've really missed doing these. So I hope I haven't over yapped on the podcast and I hope this has been really helpful for you all. I think my closing thoughts on hunkering down after being ill and not training a lot is this is going to happen all the time. It's going to happen on and off for the rest of your life and always at the most inconvenient time. This happens to everyone. We can do everything right, take care of our recovery, eat well, sleep well, train well, and sometimes we still can get sick. And sometimes we will miss training. But our fitness journey is long term. It's not just this one race. It's not just this one competition. It's literally the rest of my life. And it's the rest of your life as well. Being sensible now, not panicking, not overtraining, not shaming, not beating myself up for things I didn't do or things I think I should be doing more of. That's not going to set me up for being a better runner, a better lifter, and a better person. So we're locking in, we're hunkering down, and we're going to enjoy the next 6 weeks and see what happens. If you're currently a bit of a rut with your training, if you like running, if you like strength, you kind of want to merge the two, but you feel like, I don't know how to structure that. I feel like I'm either overtraining or I'm not doing enough. And I don't know what I should be including, what exercises I should be doing in the gym that support running. How much should I run? How much should I strength train? All of these question marks around hybrid training that get talked about by muscly naked men on the internet that tell you to train twice a day, every day of the week. If you are struggling with navigating your strength and run training and you enjoy my podcast, you might like my group run and lift program, Fast and Ferocious. There's 5 workouts to choose from every week, 3 strength and 2 runs. You can do all of them, you can do 2 of them, you can do 3 of them. It's always up to you. The programming rolls out to you every week. All you do is open up an app and you follow that program, and that program guarantees progression with your strength and running if you show up and do the thing. What's also awesome is every week I make video overviews for the week ahead of training. They're a few minutes long and they map out the progressions, the purpose and the priorities. So you always know what you're doing and why. And I've been doing this for almost a year now. And it's been the most successful version of a group program that I have ever run. Huge results coming out of it every week. And the vibes are wonderful. So if this sounds like your flavor, you've got a bit of gym experience, you've got a bit of run experience, we are starting a new block of training in Fast and Ferocious, not next week, but the week after. Fill in the form in the show notes or drop me a DM on Instagram, let me know that you're interested, and I'll get back to you. I'll ask you a few questions and we'll see if it's a good fit, and then we can get you signed up in time for the new block starting. Link for Fast and Ferocious in the show notes, and as always, any questions, just shoot me a DM on Instagram or just drop me an email through if you're an email person. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate every last one of you that gives this podcast the time of day, especially after I've had a little bit of a break. As always, please do the thing, subscribe, rate, leave a comment. It helps me out so much. It helps me reach the right people that would benefit from this podcast. And it continues to build our little online corner of the fitness community that is way better than any other one. And I might be biased, but it definitely is. All right, that is me out, Small Gains family. Have a lovely rest of your week and keep chasing the small gains. Bye.